Hey guys, so this just popped up inside my Facebook news feed, and we're going to take a look at it real quick. Remember that we just touched on the second video down that says Never Lose Sight, Jeremy Edwardson, and how all of his fruit is Templar. If you go to jeremyedwardson.com and check out the discography, that's all the discs, all the CDs that he's produced on. He's been producing for Bethel for over a decade. So, this is what we're going to do. We're going to attach Jeremy real quick to Nathan real quick. So, first we see that scripture says, don't shave the sides of your head. Guys are not supposed to have long hair. Nathan's doing that as rebellion. These guys are saying that the stirring, where Nathan has been the youth group pastor and high school pastor and young adults pastor, is for years and years, the stirring has told us that they had no affiliation with Bethel, and us locals, we've known that that was a lie. So we're going to read this real quick. For years, Eric Johnson and I met monthly over sushi. Why would he need to tell us what he was eating? Specifically, sushi is one of the things on the do not eat list. It's a reason why he specifically told us that once a month they went out and did a rebellious act against God, and they were doing it intentionally to be able to have fellowship with each other. So, for years, Eric Johnson and I met monthly over sushi to talk about life, family, the world, and of course, preaching. We devoured our volcano rolls. Then I could more volcano rolls than I could possibly count. This October, inspired by those talks in that sushi, see how he has the tongue out, remember the maw, and he's winking with his right eye, which inside the meme, it says we're not supposed to trust those who wink with their eye and point with their finger. They are speaking with their hands and teaching with their feet, which is what the Masons do. We'll host together our first ever preachers and culture. Not Yeshua, not we're going to read the Bible out loud. It's indoctrination. So, first ever preachers and culture workshop in Greenville, South Carolina. We'll do our best to curate a collaborative, prophetic, formational experience. So it's an experience designed intentionally for those who carry a burden to form not just the future church, but to transform the culture beyond it. In our day of culture nuance, we need renewed vision, language, clarity, and imagination more than ever. Applications are open at the preacher school. So these are the comments that came in from that. Why do they always think they must transform the world to their way of thinking? The answer is they are Freemasons. Changing the world is their modus operandi. Bethel's Seven Mountain Mandate is Templar Dominion theology in a new wrapper. Not everything, not even trying to hide it anymore. Okay. You guys remember when Nathan was a high school / youth adults pastor and how he used to be called the cussing pastor because he would cuss while preaching at the stirring. My friends used to tell me the day after it would happen. Several of my friends from Little Country Church were also going to the stirring at that time. Brian, the guy that's making this video, personally had my friends tell me the day after Nathan would be on stage preaching, when he would be cussing, they would tell me. Some of them would understand that it was bad, and some of my friends would tell me, this guy's so cool, he can even cuss from up on the pulpit. Right? So, I know that not everyone in this group would claim to be Christians, so I am just going to explain that according to the scriptures found in the Bible, eating sushi would be considered an abomination, something that God hates. And notice how Nathan and Brian's t-shirt design, the only symbols on their t-shirts are lightning bolts. Jesus said, "Behold, I saw Satan fall to earth like a bolt of lightning." They are using semiotics. This is called hidden in plain sight. It is a Masonic modus operandi. This is how they operate. We just covered we just covered Jeremy, I think 2 days ago inside this video. This is a link to Nathan's brother, Jeremy Edwardson. Now, this is something I didn't have a script anyways, but this is something that just popped in my head that we really should be paying attention to. There are groups inside of this coven, Masonic Witches Coven. There are groups of 13 and there are groups of 3. These are called triunes. This is where one of the witches, one of these practitioners, will go and find 2 more people to work with them on projects. If you go and watch the third brother that we haven't spoken about yet, Nathan and Jeremy have a brother that's called Benji. If you want to find Benji, go to only the number 1 Benji, BENJI.com. He's another one of the 3 Edwardsons that make their personal triune, that they are all using satanic symbolism in their logos. Now, Benji started doing his outward where I could see that they were doing it at the same time that Matt from Megastar, remember Star, Fallen Angels, Megastar Financial, and only one Benji, and I forget the other guy's name. One of the realtors. I don't want to leave this guy out. I got to go find him real quick. Hold on. This is the third guy for the triune. Let me show you that real quick so that you guys can see the lightning bolts. Back to the triune guy. This guy right here, Corey Meyer. That's the third guy inside their triune. So Corey Meyer went and got together with, what's the lady's name from the Shark Tank with the really short hair? The Jewish-looking lady, Barbara Cochran. Corey got together with Barbara Cochran and got trained into. Barbara and Damien John are both very well-known Kabbalists. They practice the Kabbalah. That whole panel of people for the Shark Tank, they're all Kabbalists. They all practice the Kabbalah. They are giving out Masonic money on a Masonic TV show. If you're not inside their system and you try and get on their TV show, first, you're not going to even make it on the show. And second, they would never give you any of their Masonic money to be able to help you on your endeavors unless you're going to give back into their cult. So, standing here next to the penis, that sundial is penis worship, penis, vagina, ejaculation, and the seed. That sundial is a penis. At the bottom of that thing is a triangle. Underneath that thing is the womb. The bridge is white. It's frosted white. And there's a brass sphere on the far end of that bridge. This is symbology that is used inside Reading, inside the cults. They understand this. By looking at symbols, they know who they are supposed to support. John Todd Collins explained to us that back in the day, when he was in the witches' covens, he was trained how to identify which businesses were owned by the coven, and they were required to purchase things from those spots so that the coven would always get their money back. And they would make whatever was the extra money coming in from people who didn't understand the symbolism. Got it? Shark Tanks. Barbara Cochran endorses local wine country real estate team. If you're looking to buy or sell, call the Corey Meyer home selling team. This is one of their cohorts, Matt Brown over at Mega Star Financial. The stars are the fallen angels. They're getting their money for doing all their lending from the group that is the Fallen Angel Bank. After Chris Valentin had $1.6, $1.8 million erased back in 1996, his creditors would not have erased $1.6 million unless they were going to get financed, paid back in another way. Guess what? They started using Chris's bankruptcy against him. But he's part of the group anyways. He's part of the Masons that are trying to intentionally enslave our town. They're doing it backwards. They're doing it in ways that people locally are not paying attention. This is one of the people who are getting financed, getting lots of money from Bethel being in town. This is the third Edwardson brother. This is only one Benji. Notice how they've got the American flag on there because they have to show their allegiance to the fallen angels. It's pretty common that these people use semiotics. Why only one home loans from only one Benji? Why is there a star, fallen angel star? Why is there one star as his whole logo on that thing? Remember the crossed swords yesterday? Crossed axes because we're in Northern California. You guys catching on? Summit funding. Chevrons. See it? There's bad guys hiding under every rock in Redding, California. But that's not just me being paranoid. These people came in as a Templar militia after they murdered Scott and Darren Grubbs. Bill Johnson started bringing in his Templar militia in groups, in big, fat chunks of his fraternity brothers. His fraternity brothers, Freemasonic fraternity, he started bringing in the Masons in big, giant chunks. Now watch. Here's the meaning for the one having wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains upon which the woman sits. Anyone with wisdom can figure this out. So, in this, they're specifically talking about the Whore of Babylon. And since this group is teaching the Kabbalah inside their sessions, they are riding on the head of Babylon. Now, the 7 heads are 7 mountains. The 7 mountains are the Templars' dominion theology. Inside this group, they call it the 7 Mountain Mandate. So this group is the 7 heads of the Beast of Revelation. Now, they themselves have named which each of the heads, each of the mountains that they are supposed to take over. Those are each of the heads of the Kabbalah. Get it? Those are the arts and entertainment, the government, none of these things, those 7 mountains, none of those 7 mountains are the good mountains, according to what the 7, remember, Satan copies everything that is good and scriptural. So there are 7 mountains in Jerusalem, right? Jesus is going to come back onto the Mount of Olives, split the mountain in half, okay? So there are 7 mountains in the good location. Then we have the 7 mountains of Rome, right? That's why we are always told that Rome is the Antichrist. But there are also 7 mountains in Rome, Maryland. Where's Rome, Maryland? You guys know it as Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia. Columbia is another of the goddesses that we're not supposed to worship, but it's on top of all of our on top of the White House. You have to understand, this is an occultic nation. Everything that the guys are doing that are the high ups in this country, the lowdowns don't know about, because they're doing it in signs and symbols. The public's gonna look at it and glance right past it and not even blink an eye. Okay, so go over here to the backup channel. Backup channel is called Wake Up Reading. Go into the playlists and you'll start seeing all the proofs that Bethel are Freemasons, how to read semiotic symbols, and I think that's mostly. Maybe I should go over who the I Am is in another video pretty soon. That one's pretty important to understand. So, Bethel are Templars. This is the doctrine of the fallen angels. This is what happened in Acts 19:19 when the church was practicing Kabbalah. They collected all their books together, they burned them, they counted the value of it, and it was 50,000 pieces of silver. Now, let's do some math real quick. Well, let's pretend to do some math real quick. If Yeshua was betrayed for 30 pieces of silver, and just recently Michael did the math into pounds for over in England, I believe it was something to the effect of 30,000 US dollars that the 30 pieces of silver would have been considered at that point. I think it was something, I think he told us it was something like 16,000 pounds. And I'm not great with conversion rates, so is $16,000, $20,000? It was something like a half year's wages that was given when Judas ended up betraying Yeshua. So 50,000 pieces of silver would be considered considerably more. So if we took all the Bethel books, burned all of them, all the NAR books, would that equate to 50,000 pieces of silver, so that we would end up having a shadow in the Old Testament, well, I guess New Testament, in the New Testament church of correction, if that would be a shadow of what needs to happen in this situation? Because we know that they're practicing Kabbalah. We know that Kabbalah is the doctrine of the fallen angels. The Enneagram is Kabbalah. Chris Valentin teaching Adam Kadmon that God is male and female is Kabbalah. Grave soaking is Kabbalah. Treasure hunts, divination is Kabbalah. When that girl invited people to 88 Lionsgate astrology, that is Kabbalah. The people who were practicing the Kabbalah were the ones that were sending their children into the fire. Scripture says not to. Bethel is doing fire tunnels as a clear sign of rebellion. Contemplative prayer comes out of Kabbalah. Here's Rick Warren, John Piper, C. Peter Wagner, and I think John White. Sorry, I don't remember his first name. Teaching Kabbalah. Here's Chuck Pierce teaching Kabbalah. Numerology is Kabbalah. Shekinah is the bottom Sephiroth in the Kabbalah tree. It is Lucifer. You should most definitely go over and watch An Inconvenient History with probably Alexandra. Alright, guys. These occultists are telling you out loud, using hidden symbols, because they're speaking in signs and symbols. They are telling you out loud in signs and symbols that they are the bad guys. Love you. Get into scripture. If you know your word well enough, then you will see that all of these people are doing what Scripture tells us not to do on purpose, out in plain sight, hidden in plain sight. They have to. Love you guys. Stay safe. This world's getting more crazy by the day. Or at least we're waking up to the fact that it's been this crazy for a long time, but it appears to be getting more crazy by the day. Love you guys. Stay safe. Stay in the Word.